I am gonna try to get this out before I overthink it. There's an ant crawling on the window. Um, so I'm in a cabin right now in the woods. I'm not in the city right now. I'm on something of a business trip. I guess that's kind of what you could call it. And I'm staying close by to a friend of mine who lives off grid, and staying in this off grid cabin, pretty close to the town where I grew up. Um, and It's raining, and yeah, so um, I wanted to talk about self destruction and like self creation, and the myth of like the self, and identity. I'm gonna try to talk about these things, but what's probably gonna happen is I'm probably gonna like do, do the thing that I normally do, and I'll just like try to make a point, and then I'll yeah, just yeah, that's what I always do. Anyway, but so which is anyway, so I've been reading this book. It's called The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell. I guess it's not really by Joseph Campbell, but it's a transcription of a conversation that he had, or I guess it's a transcription of an interview that was featured in a PBS documentary. I think that came out in like the mid '80s, and it's all about mythology and the power of myth, and how really when we interface with certain roles in society, what we're doing is we're interfacing with like a mythologized version of those roles. Like the one example that he gives is like a judge. Like we're not when we stand up, when we have to go to court, what we're standing up to or what we're standing up for is not really the guy himself. We're standing up to the robe, because the robe carries this like mythological connotation of executor of the law in society. It's really fascinating. So yeah, so coming back to the area that I'm from has kind of like been it's been weird. I really like I think when I left, I really properly mourned, um, you know, my childhood home, and just certain relationships that are associated with being in this area, and then coming back has kind of been like it's kind of been like talking to a person that was supposed to be dead. And I know that that may sound kind of odd, and it's like, well, it's a physical place, it's not a person, but like I don't know, it's hard to explain. So that's the best way I can explain it as of now. I haven't found the words to explain it any other way yet. So when it's brought up like a lot of memories, and it's also been a good um, contrast to not only where I am geographically, but where I am developmentally as a person. I turned 29 recently, and I feel at this point in time, gonna knock on wood here, more settled within myself, more settled within my identity. And When I was here, I emphatically did not feel that way in any way whatsoever. Um, so when I was younger, I was much more self-destructive. I did dangerous and stupid things. Um, I did a lot of drugs. I used to do a lot of drugs. That was something I did like frequently. I wouldn't really say that I was an addict, but I did drugs were like kind of a key component of my sort of self-destructive spiral that I went on between like 19 and like 23. Um, and I definitely abused. I would say psychedelics. And Of course, I haven't done those things in many years. But I think that it was a really necessary self-destructive spiral, because what I guess I was trying to do in retrospect was like force this sort of like developmental and like spiritual ecdysis, this like the shedding of the skin. And I thought that the best way to do that was through drugs. Some people do it in other ways, and I know that that probably sounds really pretentious, um, but I was, I guess, uncomfortable with my identity, and so I thought that through doing that, I would create one that I thought made more sense contextually to changes in my surroundings and changes in my lifestyle and so on. And it made sense. And for a period, it did work. And for a period, it definitely did the trick. Now, it led me to a really, really dark place. But I can confidently say that I would not be the person that I am today, the person who is more comfortable with their identity, not completely, but like, you know, more comfortable with their identity and more comfortable with like their sense of self in relation to the world, certainly than I used to be. And I would not be this person if it weren't for that sort of self-destructive spiral that I went on when I was a great deal younger. And so coming back here has kind of just like really reminded me of that, that, you know, your surroundings definitely make you sometimes, but you also make your surroundings. And, you know, I'm in this place now where, I don't really know anybody. Like I know like a handful of people. I have, you know, a rapport with like a handful of people, but really I don't know many people. Which is weird because I come back here and it's like I bump into random people that I know and it's like, oh yeah. And it's like there's something called associative regression, which is when you subconsciously revert back to a previous developmental stage in order to like maintain a sense of social harmony. It's kind of weird. I feel like I mentioned this in another video because it was like a really relevant thing, especially when I was living with my parents, but it sort of feels that way now, but I feel more resistant to it because I've realized that identity is not solely something that is a projection outward, inward. It's sometimes a projection inward, outward, even though in a lot of cases, identity is something that like is corroborated externally by other people. And so I guess I'm more okay with disappointing people by being the person I've become and being proud of that rather than like reverting back to certain old ways and foregoing principles I've developed, or I guess foregoing implementing principles I've developed throughout the course of my life. So I'm not saying that like you should self-destruct or that you should be self-destructive, because there are many ways you could self-destruct. Like I'm not saying, hey, go get into an abusive relationship, and that'll be good for you, or like, hey, go get hooked on heroin, that'll be good for you. What I'm saying is like self-destruction is in a lot of cases very bad and very sad. I've known a lot of people who have self-destructed and they have not come back from that because they just ended up being that person. They just ended up being a self-destructive person indefinitely. But I'm saying that not all forms of self-destructive are equal. Not all forms of self-destructive are without any kind of silver lining. In my case, I also want to note that like I was supported by loved ones, you know, when I was emotionally, when I was going through some of these things, and eventually I did come out of it. That's a different story. But anyway, again, I don't know. This has kind of just been like a stream of consciousness again. I don't know what this is. For what it's worth, I don't know. If you're self-destructing right now, if you're caught in like a self-destructive spiral, you should probably stop. But also later on, maybe you'll realize that it makes you who you are. And when you feel healed from that, you can be grateful that you did what you did. I hurt myself. I think I probably shaved years off my life doing what I did. Sometimes I definitely damaged my body and my mind and my soul in a lot of ways. But I now feel like, having processed all those things, that I am capable of processing things more like it, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. I don't know if any of that made any sense. Man, I just can't escape. I just can't escape that. Anyway, I don't know if any of that made any sense, but be good.